There's one.
Oh,
Say hi.
hi.
Yeah. You blow
Hi.
kisses? Can you say Tom? Say Tom. Say Justin.
Easy one.
Okay. Say JD. Say Tom. And Chad.
Nice.
Whoa, who's that? Oh, Chad.
Oh, Chad. Hey, Malky. What's up, buddy?
And you say Brandon. You say Brandon. There you go.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Say bye. All right.
Hey, buddy.
Hi, buddy.
Mark, I think you'd be a lot better if you kept him on your lap.
Okay. Say bye.
Joe
See-
Bell. I'm drinking
see-
Joe Bell Diamante for my.
Why does Daddy wear a dirty robe?
He loves it. It's so snuggly. It just smells funny. All right, buddy. Go see mommy.
It's a bright light.
Okay. What are we, 7 minutes out?
Nice, Suzanne.
What'd Suzanne say?
Says
Mark's
it's a
got
great
some great
sponsor. That's why I
sponsors.
ordered it.
What?
She also said she's done several COVID-19 death distributions. Have you guys know if we've done any or many?
Very few.
Ooh.
Oh, death, sorry.
Yeah.
Death distributions. Not that I'm aware of, but I haven't asked that question.
Yeah, New Jersey.
I know one, I believe. I
Really?
think so. Or like someone died recently. We did a distribution.
The timing of Suzanne's chats there weren't great as it went laugh out loud. And then she's talking about being from New Jersey, which is why she's doing death distributions.
Yeah. You definitely look at New York, New Jersey, that whole area over there is holy cow.
Justin was telling me New Jersey is opening public parks. Wasn't that you that told me that, Russ?
I know.
Yeah.
They are.
We're starting
Surprising.
to see a lot more business.
They're through their peak though, right? They've blasted through it.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe. Do we even know?
California was supposed to be, though, Brandon. Our peak was supposed to be the 14th. Originally, it was projected as the 28th, and then they readjusted to the 14th of April.
But we flattened it, so ours is gonna be
Longer.
farther out. The better we do, the farther out it's gonna be. I got a friend in New Jersey, and his whole family has it. I mean, they're not hospitalized, but they all got it. They all were sick as dogs.
Yeah.
Nevin Adams wants to get it. He shouts, herd immunity. All right,
Yeah.
Nevin,
You don't
go
want
ahead. Run out there and start kissing people.
Got a fly in here that just going to run into my face the whole show, apparently.
That is amazing. Get a pair of chopsticks.
Yeah, you guys would like that. The whole show, I'm just quiet because I'm trying to catch a fly.
You just got to do that. You don't need chopsticks.
Pretty tough to keep me quiet that long.
It'd be way cooler if you did this, Chad. It flew by and you just ate it.
I'll give it a shot, Mark. Just wait. Mid-show when it comes back around.
I ate a cockroach once.
That doesn't surprise me.
On purpose?
Yeah, I used to own a surf shop, and I was trying to impress the 12-year-old surfer kids. They thought it was really cool. So
I think that's pretty.
I don't buy it.
I'm surprised
is-
you're alive.
Just if you think about this, JD was probably what, like 31 or 32 at the time, and you were trying to impress 12-year-old surf kids.
I was like 30. Yeah, probably.
Were you trying to
even
lure them
scarier.
into your van? What were you doing?
No, we were in my van. We were already in
If
there.
you
This has gotten bad real quick.
and if you've
Yeah.
seen pictures of JD back in that day,
Hey. He's
Hey,
like,
Hey.
oh my gosh, what has my dad gotten into?
Hey, can you give me a heads up on the word, JD?
Yeah.
did you commit to one?
Let's go sponsor.
Oh,
Really?
I
we're
don't
gonna go
think-
sponsor with the ability to adjust mid-show, right? JD
Sure,
can,
sure.
JD can flip it.
Sure. I don't think he's gonna say lawsuit that much. That's weird.
Wasn't Tom
What's up, buddy?
the king last time?
What's that?
Wasn't he the king last time we played this?
Yeah,
Tom,
he was
he was
really
good
good.
at it? Was he?
Yeah,
Very good.
Yeah, I just invented new words to get around the game.
that's right.
That's what you should immediately create synonyms for the words right
That's
now.
like That's right. So this is Everett. This is my 8-year-old. Say hi.
Hey, Everett.
Buddy.
Hi, buddy.
Sal Tripodi was not good at the game on Tuesday. And we had to just let him off the hook because I think he must have said it like 28 times or something.
So was
but-
this in Hawaii? Was this the live one?
No, we did him on Tuesday, just like
he was
this.
rough in Hawaii too, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, Hawaii he was bad too, but
Yeah, but
on
it's weird.
Tuesday on this Zoom he was horrible.
Oh my God.
He was a
you-
great guest, but
So Hawaii happened, but your recent Orlando one didn't happen, right?
oh no, we went there.
We went to Orlando.
Oh,
Surprisingly, none of us got sick. It was we went into quarantine here in California, 48 hours after we got back from Orlando.
Something like that.
so you made it.
We made it back, and luckily, none of us got sick, or luckily.
I think we officially performed our show at the last 401k conference in the country,
Yeah, there you
which
go.
was sketchy.
The conference or your show?
Actually,
you ever get
both.
any swings on your dad's punching bag over there?
Oh yeah, he'll get some in.
Take some aggression out on that bag.
Yep, he's got clubs and this is our everything room. We've got the punching bag. We've got our tools, as you can see. We've got the train table,
I have Legos over there.
Legos. Right behind him is that TV. There's a TV on the wall, but there's a TV on the table, and he and I built an arcade box. So we've got it hooked up to a computer, and we built these really cool arcade boxes, and we play old school Simpsons and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh wow.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
What's the plan on GameCube?
and oh yeah, we also have an old school GameCube too, with like Mario Kart
Yeah.
and Star Fox, and
That's pretty
you
nice.
know the whole nine. Yeah, this is the place. This is the hangout.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen, we probably don't have a lot of time. The show's going to start in about a minute. Have you ever seen Tom's desk at work he's got like 1 million tchotchkes all behind him and around him. Like it's out of control.
No,
I got a
that's
new
what I
office
do now.
since the last time you saw it. And now
Yeah.
I have even more room for that stuff.
I was gonna say, you had to bring all your stuff, right?
I did.
'Cause-
And so we just started keeping with that theme, the Saturn V rocket that's in my office. He and I just started on the Lego space station.
And also, I just finished the.
Very
So-
cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael Webb's here, and he was in Orlando with us, and he made it home safely after being at Disney World with thousands of people. My family drugged me to Disney World for 4 freaking days. I thought I was gonna die for sure.
I think we all did too. When we flew back, knowing that you were going back to Disney World, we're like, oh, geez. JD's done. It's been fun. We've got a succession plan in place. Tristan's ready to run the show.
All right,
There with him.
BC, are you think you're ready to rock?
I can handle it.
Yeah,
It's about that time, ain't it?
yeah. I'm just back here doing my own thing. Give me a second.
Hey, well, we can start whenever you want, man.
Yeah, it's not like we told millions of people that we started at
Wow.
4:30.
Who cares?
I was just back here working. All right, I'll start it.
This is the Retireholics sheltering in place. Changing the retirement industry, one shitty webinar at a time.
Okay. All right. That's a new rendition. We've never seen that one, Tom. So it's a little creepy. It's a little, how do you guys feel about it?
It sounds like he's in a lair, is what it sounds like, as described by Mr. Clark.
You know,
What? Oh, go ahead, Tom.
one of my first jobs was working at a haunted house in New Jersey when I was a teenager. So it fits. You just didn't know that about me.
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
Cool, but I don't
Welcome.
understand why you don't like living in a dark house.
That's right. That's right.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Sheltering in Place with the Retireholics and our guest here, Mr. Arissa attorney Tom Clark. And
Huh?
Arissa.
Stop.
We'll have to talk about that one day.
No.
Thank you to all the people attending live. We really appreciate it. You must be some 401k hungry animals, the lot of you. And so we appreciate you showing up on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4:30. We're getting lucky. We've got some good guests because if it was just us talking 401k, it definitely is a shitty webinar.
Well,
But since
we recorded one with just us, and notice it's never been released. So
right.
yeah, if it's just us, it's shitty.
we did
Thanks,
do,
Tom.
we did do episode 5 with no guests, and it hit the cutting room floor. We're like, that's a piece of crap.
I'm not
So
even
we've-
sure we had any attendees.
Like 4.
Well, yeah, and thanks to the attendees. Good point, Mark. It's a lot less creepy when we do this with other people watching as opposed to just ourselves. So we appreciate it. But let's dive right in with Mr. Clark. I've been wanting to talk about this. If you're a plan advisor, shoot. Sorry. I didn't
Yeah,
get
he was
started
going to
right.
go there.
Get so
Yeah.
excited. Get so excited to talk 401k. If you've got questions, for Tom, questions for anybody here, use that chat bar. Justin over there is checking it out. He's paying attention to you and watching it. We really appreciate your involvement. And we're going to go back to the old school game, the prohibited word. And today the word will be sponsor. So if you say that word, you must drink from your special drink. Okay. And we've had Tom on the show before. He's kind of a veteran at this.
And
He
he's
was
damn
really
good.
He was really good at it last time. Here we are in the midst of this coronavirus, and a lot of plan advisors are out there working with their clients, or they were in December and January and February, and they had maybe sat down, done a review of the plan, and determined that it was time to move from record keeper X to record keeper Y for a variety of reasons. Maybe the switch was going to happen on March 20th or, April 10th. I don't know. What is what is your guys' opinion? Is that something that they can keep moving forward with and make that switch? Or is it because of this COVID, they should not? And maybe I should say more specifically, because of these like extremely volatile markets. Let's start with our guest. Tom, what's your opinion?
It's one of those things, right? Really depends on why you're moving. If you're trying to get away from a really bad record keeper who's making a lot of mistakes and you need to get to somebody who's doing better, I can see more of an argument. If you're moving between 2 really sophisticated record keepers who are good at moving assets quickly, right? You would only have those assets out of the playing field for a couple days, maybe a day at most, as opposed to some of the record keepers, out there take a heck of a lot longer. You guys would know that. That's your sort of day job, those kinds of transitions. But not that I think ERISA requires it. I think you could do it. But for those risk averse folks out there, if you don't have to do it right now, until we really stabilize, I could see an argument for parking your plan right where it is, right? If somebody made that decision and they documented that and said, we really think that the volatility scares us, what happens if the market goes up? Look, right today, didn't it go up a bunch? And now it's, did it go back down again today?
Yeah, it's down
But
today.
I saw an article that says April was the best month in a long time because of how bad March was, right? So if any given point in April, you had decided to pull your plan and do a blackout, and that's the one day you missed where the Dow gained 1,000 points, you're going to have people calling you up and those squeaky wheels are going to be pissed off. So I can see why people would do it, but I don't think it's mandated, but I can see why people would be concerned.
Seems like the defense of saying we chose not to move because of the volatility is easier than the defense of saying we moved and we had this massive downturn and now all our employees are calling the DOL and voicing complaints.
Well,
I feel like it's easier to defend.
downturn, but it would really be the opposite, because if we pulled all our money out and then the market dropped further, everybody would be happy as a clam.
Right.
For sure.
So it's the upswing that's crazy. It's
when the money's out of the market.
Yeah, it's the climb that's the scary part.
To me, we're always dealing with up and down days. To me, it's the volatility. It's the amount that things are up and down that creates this new narrative, because we always deal with that. And you get clients that complain about that in a regular time when they go through a transfer and the market has a couple great days and they're like, holy cap, what happened? We shouldn't have done this at this time. You're like, well, you can't predict that. When I looked at Napa, their results, They had 44% of advisors that they polled said that they were still on schedule to do these transfers. So it seems like the advisor community and or the clients they represent doesn't necessarily agree with the concept that you have to put it on ice, or at least a good chunk of them.
Yeah.
If done properly, you can liquidate and reinvest with most of the providers within a 48-hour time period. Most of them, and if you do it properly, you can tag it even shorter than that. One of the things I thought about, Tom, as we were chatting, what about in-kind transfers? I mean, nothing that you've mentioned has anything to do with us being in COVID and notice releases and people not getting that. So as long as the assets aren't leaving the market and it's an in-kind transfer, are you comfortable with that? Meaning the money's not ever being liquidated.
Do the record keepers even do I mean, like, I'm familiar with some in-kind, like if you got some weird shit in your
Brokerage accounts,
you need to transfer it out to IRAs. Like I've been involved in some of those weird projects, like somebody owns real estate or something like that, and we got to find somebody to do it. But do any of the record keepers do in-kind?
Absolutely.
Okay, because some of them that may, rhyme with melody. Some of those folks, it's very interesting the way they custody those funds, right? Because they have such large omnibus accounts that, you own things, but they trade them. And, it's are they really willing to give that out of their omnibus accounts? I mean, that's kind of way beyond some of the stuff that I do on a day-to-day basis. But I mean, if you could get a record keeper to agree they were going to do an in-kind to in-kind, I mean, that's cool.
In some of the smaller plan space, they're using the same custodian. Like it might be a TD Ameritrade on the back end,
sure,
or Schwab on the back end, and so there's no real liquidation needed, even in a mutual fund world.
Let me shift gears a little bit on the same subject, but what about the participants? They're in the midst of these crazy times. Maybe you've furloughed part of your staff. They're busy watching Fox News and CNN and are stressed out. Could you make the argument that just given the current environment, I mean, stock market aside, that making a switch from one vendor to another vendor, I mean, the education, the ability to answer their questions, is it just not a good time to do it? Or is that just being too heartfelt?
You want to go to me or anybody?
Yeah, sure. Well, Mark and Justin tend to not answer my questions very often.
Okay.
So go ahead, Tom.
No, I mean, I think that's a fair, like a lot of things in our world, we try to presuppose what people are going to be thinking and what environment they're in and where their heads are at. And no, I really do feel that's a very fair assessment. Again, it's not a mandated one, but if a plan sponsor said to me, you're right, I just cut everybody to 50% furlough pay. Like the last thing in the world they need is a bunch of notices that we're switching from X to Y, because they're already pissed off at me. They're already scared, or they're already hurting. And now they think I'm going to try to steal their money or there's some weird thing going on. You just don't need to stress people out.
Can we talk about the opposite of the argument here, just for all the attendees listening in? I mean, if you feel as though you should move forward, or you're part of that 44% of those advisors I referred to, I think that one of your concerns is, and I'm stealing this from Nevin, but that you're kind of stating out loud now that you want to time this thing when markets are better. Like you have some idea when markets are going to be less volatile, or there's a better chance for that down day versus the up day. And maybe that's a bad message to put out there as a fiduciary. And so you made these decisions. I'm just going on the other side of the coin now. You made these decisions for reasons. They obviously had to be prudent reasons and fiduciarily sound. And maybe some of them are very, very important. I mean, you've decided to upheave this entire plan and move it. So just because you're forced with this landscape, does that trump all of those reasons that you were moving? And I guess that's really what it comes down to, right? Which value is better? The previous decisions or the fear of the current volatility? Is that a fair assessment?
I mean, it is, but putting on the old Tom hat, right? I can sue you for anything, including being ugly. So,
watch it.
That's
What?
for you, Mark.
I know. He looked at me when he said it.
Yeah.
Easy money.
Yeah, that's right. I'm looking right at you. It's so JD, I mean, you're 100% right. You could easily come to the opposite conclusion, but all that being said, if the market goes up and somebody misses that gain, especially if they've got a more aggressive portfolio, that person is going to be knocking on your door. And I have been in those situations, even under the best of circumstances, where somebody loses something over 48 hours. And, and in the end, it doesn't make any sense to pay me to defend a claim when the entire claim is $1,500. They're going to pay me at my hourly rate, and the plan sponsors just write the check.
Thank
So
you.
I don't have anything else, so I'll just switch to the White Claw, right? So I'll just
That's fair.
double fist.
The best drink anybody's ever had on this show.
Yeah, there you go. So
Justin, I'm seeing a lot of people chiming in
I'm trying to
here
find my
that-
time. I mean, you
It's
guys
all right.
keep changing. So one
They're
question I'm
not
looking
all
at right now is,
questions, JD.
what's that?
I was just saying they're not all questions.
No,
Like,
they don't have to be questions.
required
They don't-
to
They don't have to be questions. They can be thoughts and opinions. I'm seeing a lot of people that got some strong opinions about all this.
Something for Tom. Lawsuits against plans and plan sponsors regarding excessive plan fees seem to be the norm right now. How do you think that'll change going in the future with all of this? Yes.
I think that some of the more aggressive plaintiffs firms have had some very successful settlements, and that they are not going to be hurt by COVID-19. Their economics are quite independent of the rest of our world. And I think that, Schlichter has a whole new website out there advertising for new plans. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
No, I want to though. Sweet.
Yeah, so he's
Is it boogeyman.com?
no, it's not boogeyman.com, but he's out there advertising on LinkedIn, right? So they've all gotten nice big fat checks, and they're out there looking for employers, and they're not going away. And there's been some success. I don't know if there's some people are trying to link it to the Intel decision at the Supreme Court on actual knowledge, but I mean that's nice somewhat for the the plaintiff's lawyers, but I just think it's opportunistic. I think a lot of old cases got resolved, and there's been a lot of money on the table, and they need to go look for some fresh prey.
Brandon, if you can hear me, I think we had a poll question on whether people thought it was okay to transfer assets or not transfer assets. Can we get a temperature on the audience? I feel like there's a lot of them that are feeling like they should. So throw that out there. So chime in.
Oh,
Audience.
I can vote this time. Yes.
And is it okay to? You can't vote, Chad. I don't want your
it
opinion.
allows me to. Before, panelists couldn't vote.
Yeah.
That was a mistake. Sorry.
Wait, which one was the mistake?
Yeah, it's what I thought. It's
Allowing
what I thought.
panelists to vote.
Yeah.
It's what I thought. It's 85% of them right now are saying, "Hey, man, you can't predict the ups and." I added the "Hey, man," but you can't predict the ups and downs of the market. So if you made a prudent decision to switch, then you follow through on it. So
I think
All
it's
right.
I think it's okay to say if you're in the discussions right now about moving the plan, that you should table it. But I think if the decision was made prior to all of this, that there was enough reason to transition and pick up and move the assets, that there was enough of a benefit for those participants, that you should stick with it and see it through.
Yeah.
Lauren was saying that she went through this a couple weeks ago, and they met with the plan sponsor, kind of gave them their options. It even says in her thing, no drink for her, and I said it. Met with the plan sponsors. They connected with participants too, and God dang it, I suck at this. And
Yes.
they had no pushback from the participants. So that's good to hear.
That's rule number one. Ask your participants what they think about what you should do. I don't think that's a good idea, but fair enough. I get it. Let me go a little sliver off of it. What about making fund changes? The large cap value fund has fallen below its criteria or what have you, and it's time to move to a different one based on your investment policy statement. You got to do that, right, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, if you have made a fiduciary decision that a fund is imprudent, yeah. I mean, yes, that's a different story though than taking the entire plan offline.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
It's far less exposure from a dollar and cents point of view. And let me just say to Todd Kading, it's not a sweater, buddy. It's a Columbia vest. It's You know, it's that material. What is it? Not flannel, but
Fleece.
fleece. Thank you. It's the
All right.
fleece. It's a fleece vest.
JD's got a name for that outfit.
Yeah, what's
Remember
that?
you telling us.
Oh, that's the New York shoot. I got to look it up. There's a whole Instagram about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's
I was
hilarious.
going with the waffle shirt. I was going for a sexy lumberjack, but that's
No,
Down
they're-
on the layer with the tools in the background. It makes perfect sense.
You're
Yeah,
right. You're so right, Chad. There's a name for that. I've forgotten it, and it's hilarious.
Was it something tuxedo?
No, but apparently that's like the go-to business casual on the East Coast. You know, New York, Boston, all that. We wouldn't know anything about that out here in Cali. Okay, so we all agree that fun changes. Everyone seemed to be thumbs up on that, but when it comes to moving those plant assets, it seems to be a split crowd, at least here. But a lot of advisors out there and our audience seems to think you might as well go through with it.
Something else that Devin's saying is, document, no matter what you guys do. Mike mentions, plants still need to be, managed as they were before all this happened. So keep doing it as a plan is written.
That's a classic attorney answer. Document. If I hear that kind of answer out of these guys anymore, I'm going to lose my shit. It's always document.
Drinking word next time.
What?
That could be your drinking word next time is document.
Yes, it
Document.
could. It
I don't
could.
think we ever say that.
We'd like to break it up with a little bit of fun, Thomas. So we're going to do a little movie game.
Move ya. Move your
It's-
body.
It's called, what is it called, Mark?
Don't know.
Who is that? We're just going to play you an audio clip and you got to guess the movie. That's what we should call it. All right, go ahead, Brandon.
Yes, as
Take
soon
a
as you
rip
know
at it. We can't hear you, Brandon.
Silence of the Lambs. No, just
What's that movie? Don't talk it all in.
Hold on.
What's the movie? What?
That
What's that?
That
Yeah,
one-
that new one that you can't make a sound. The
the
scary.
dude
Oh,
from the office.
Quiet Place.
Yeah, that's it.
Miss Stoger, my plastic surgeon doesn't want me doing any activity where balls fly at my nose.
Well, there goes your social life.
Oh, I know this one.
Clueless.
What do you get? Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right,
Well
number two.
You're on dangerous ground here. You're causing a major disturbance on my time.
You know, I've been thinking about this, Mr. Han. If I'm here and you're here, doesn't that make it our time?
I know it.
I don't.
What? It's Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Ah,
Wow. I thought you were going to nail all these.
I was gonna say Ferris Bueller.
Oh, really?
I thought it was.
All right.
Not good.
Oh, you were wrong. Okay.
Bill and Ted is what I thought it
there's
was.
only one aspect of Fast Times at Ridgemont High that
Phoebe Cates.
No. All right.
only one part of that I know very
Go
well.
ahead with the third one, Brandon.
Okay. This is my personal favorite, so we're just gonna have to suffer through the length.
You like Huey Lewis in the news? Their early work was a little too new wave for my taste. But when sports came out in '83, I think they really came into their own, commercially and artistically. The whole album has a clear, crisp sound and a new sheen of consummate professionalism that really gives the songs a big boost. He's been compared to Elvis Costello, but I think Huey has a far more bitter, cynical sense of humor. In '87, Huey released this, For, their most accomplished album. I think their undisputed masterpiece is Hip to Be Square. A song so catchy, most people probably don't listen to the lyrics, but they should, because it's not just about the pleasures of conformity and the importance of trends, it's also a personal statement about the band itself.
We're going to watch the whole movie.
If you don't know it, just look at the thread.
Do we have a
there.
guess?
Jeez, everyone knows.
I have no idea.
I don't.
Tom doesn't know. Yes. Yes. American Psycho. American Psycho.
Oh yeah, well that was in the chat, so that would have been cheating.
Well, I have to say, my brother and I sat down and we thought, okay, what clips are we going to do? And we both said to ourselves, I'll bet you Tom's going to know everything. Everything we put down.
Oh, does know everything.
He seems like a pop culture, smart kind of guy, but clearly we were wrong.
Yeah, you were wrong.
That's okay.
He's got to act human once in a while, JD. Every once in a while, he's got to remind us that he's human.
Let's
My
talk.
programming is limited.
Let's let's talk PPP and maybe PPP 2.0 in a way. I mean, we talked a lot about PPP at the beginning of all this. This is that payroll protection program, you know, getting employers 2.5 months of payroll. And that was a big subject for us out of the gates. We thought advisors should really help their clients, their small business owners understand this whole process. Now, Chad brings to me ideas or concepts where people are starting to, I shouldn't say game the system, but maybe game the system. How do you all feel about an employer or a small business owner thinking to themselves, you know what? We haven't done a profit sharing in the past, but we have a discretionary one available, or we've got this match down the line. Maybe we want to front load it now, but taking these next 2 months, which my understanding is they've got to use this money for either payroll or benefits type stuff, which includes retirement plan contributions from the employer, and using it for that purpose. I'm going to juice it up a little bit. And I know this wasn't your original question. This is a lot sexier, Chad. What about what about even a big juicy cross-tested profit sharing contribution where that owner is going to get a large chunk of it, and you're going to make it happen in April or May?
I feel about as good as it as the Lakers receiving that. Did you guys hear about that?
Oh, yeah, good analogy.
Yeah.
Great analogy. But is it legal?
Yeah.
Well,
actually,
I mean, you can get, you're supposed to use the loans for certain things. There's a couple of angles on this. The first angle is you shouldn't have lied on your application, right? And so if you kind of stretch the truth on how much money you needed and said, oh, well, of course we do matching, and you've never done matching, that's probably not a good spot to be in, right? So you should not have, if you wanted to start matching and you somehow figured out how to turn it on your plan first, and then you filled out the PPP application and answered honestly to get the money, sure, right? But I'm suspecting from your hypothetical that's not the facts. And so you've got a problem about lying on your application. The second, and Mnuchin's been pretty clear on that, right? He was in a press conference last week or the very end of the week before where he was like, hey, y'all, like, understand we're auditing the applications. Like right now we're getting the money out the door, but please understand we're coming back to square zero, and we are going to look at your applications. And
I think he said they were going to investigate ones that were over 2 million.
Yeah,
but I could be wrong.
But but the other side of it is it's really about loan forgiveness, and they've not put out the guidance yet that I've seen on how those audits are going to go on deciding how you prove loan forgiveness. And so I think if somebody in good faith, like if somebody's got a situation where they got money for a match, but they kind of collect the money on their books, or maybe they do a big fat, matching contribution at the end of the year on December 31st or something like that. And that's just the way they've always done it. And then they, in good faith, now say, okay, how do I cover it for the covered, how do I use this money for the covered period now? I would rather see them find a way to amend the plan if their plan doesn't allow them to do it, to pre-fund it, park it in, a non-allocated account or something like that. It's in the plan. You can't get it back out, right? I'd rather have that argument than, oh yeah, we just park the money over in my business checking account and I promise we're going to use it later on for the 401k, forgive my loan. That's, we don't have any guidance, but that's probably less of a winner of an argument.
I want to go back to Chad's original question, but I think the only guidance we have is what 75% of it needs to be spent on those things that you calculated it for.
So it's question 7. The only guidance we have right now is question 7 of the FAQ, which is now up to like 31 questions or something as of yesterday, the latest edition. And all it said basically was, yeah, of course you can use the money. Well, the fact that it could use the money on retirement contributions is sort of an after the fact question. The main question they were asking is, does retirement contributions count against the $100,000 salary limit? And the answer is no. Right. And then they sort of backhandedly answered the question, well, of course this is covering retirement contributions to DC and DB plans. Well, okay, but you know these people haven't figured it out. It's not that they're trying to be bad, the government. It's just that the SBA has no idea how complicated we've made our world.
Before
700,000 different plan design things that you folks do. I mean, they're just ignorant. And so the guidance is going to come. It's not yet.
And before I let Chad explain his original question, I want to make it clear, like, I applaud them for acting fast. Like, I think that's what they need. I think that's what they needed to do. The last thing we want them to do is to sit around and spend months and months trying to make sure there aren't any cracks in this thing. But your original question was their payroll wasn't enough to cover it, right, Chad, or something?
Well, no. So the original question, and Tom actually hit on it. That's how damn smart you are. Is that they're looking, their CPAs are jumping in and saying, okay, what's the average monthly cost for payroll and benefits? And when they do that, they say, well, we're funding profit sharing at the end of every single year. Right. So we're going to break that up over a 12-month period, and that's what we're going to submit our request for. But now the client has 8 weeks to use that money. So the client's reaching out to us saying, hey, I know we normally don't fund the profit sharing until the end of the year, but this was part of my PPP request. So I want to pre-fund dollars. I want to put 30K in now. And so that's what they're reaching out to ask us to do. What's that?
You use the word.
I said client.
I'm
going to take it anyways.
You said it.
I would love to.
I believe Tom.
I was going to say, you're not going to listen to Tom? Yeah,
of course I am.
Yeah, that's kind of right in line with what PCH was saying about the that one client or law firm looking to pay their paralegals double the first 8 weeks and nothing the second.
Oh yeah, that's a nasty one.
Different.
I don't know.
Yeah. Hold on, let me finish the thought there, though, Tom, because you mentioned it. That's what they're trying. They're not trying to be dirty in any way.
Right.
They're saying that this is part of it over a 12-month period. We just need to fund it now. So I'm saying as the TPA, we need to be conscious of what you're doing because, and Suzanne mentioned this in the chat, there are accrual requirements, right? We may be pre-funding these dollars. If we put it in everybody's profit sharing account and a client leaves or a participant leaves before the year's done, that money may not actually be theirs. There may be an end of the year employment requirement. There may be vesting restrictions on it. So some of the risk attorneys I've seen are saying, well, put it in a holding account then. Well, the record keepers are saying, we don't like that. We don't want you to do that. We're saying, well, that's the cleanest thing you can do right now.
For now, because we don't know the answer, it is. I mean, the cleanest thing would be to find a way to, just, if you can pay your money, like if you didn't get loan money that covers your rent or something, and that's a category, something, if you can find a way to put the money in an easy situation towards something that would allow it to be forgivable, then you just, move the money, right? And then just take the thing and your rent money, let's say, and put it over for your profit sharing at the end of the year. But I'm assuming, since I'm getting this question so much, smart people have already thought of those answers, right? And if they could do that, they would have done it. And now, the first time I got this question, it was under the premise, oh, my client got too much money under the PPP loan program. And I was like, wait, come again?
What?
Like, they got too much money? Well, then they need to give it back, not find a way to spend it.
Can I touch on that too, to Chad's question? Sorry, Tom. When you file for that PPP, it's true that you give your whole year of those costs and then they calculate it into 2.5 months. So the fact that you put in your profit sharing or your match or whatever at the end of the year is fine. But when it's calculated to determine that loan, it's done on a 2.5 months proration. And so for you to then fund it all right now, that's not what they gave you that money for. They gave you the money to get through 2.5 months of normal expenses.
Well, and I haven't ran into that. I haven't had folks asking to pre-fund everything. They're saying, hey, based upon have you?
Oh, I've gotten the question.
To buy low, to get it in the market, I guess would be the thought for that.
Just in the sense of, hey, we have this extra money. Can I use it all right now to do profit sharing, right? Because
that is frustrating, and I'm not gonna go to Chad's
Here comes
question.
Mark's rant. Here comes Mark's rant. Yes, go.
No, when I hear that they got too much money, nothing bothers me more right now, especially knowing, I mean, again, JD mentioned we're on 2.0 of the PPP, because essentially what we're learning and peeling back this onion is the smaller guys out there, smaller guys and gal business owners got shelled, right? The big companies that had people at desks and knew what to do, applied for these things, didn't really need it, but said, hell, why not? They got it. It happened like that. They're talking about folks that have the white glove treatment at banks or getting
that was frustrating.
And then you get, business owners who have no true banking relationship. Maybe they're new businesses. Maybe they're just not ones that trust the banking system. I don't know. And they're the ones who need it. And you're telling me there's people out there that are like, let's make it rain on extra guacamole on my burrito. Like that is nothing frustrates me more just hearing that. And all of our conversations about, funding, profit sharing, whatever, well, that'll get figured out. Just from the human aspect of all this, shame on them, shame on them, shame on the system.
I mean,
someone fix it. Come up with a priority system this time around. A, B, and C. A, you need it. B, maybe you do. C, go yourself. Walk out the door. You don't need it right now.
Look at how much it's affected your bottom line, right? If you can't show a 12% reduction in your income in February or March when this took over, then you fall to a lower category. There's different ways, but like JD said, you got to acknowledge the fact that they turned this around like that. And we as an industry adapted to the CARES Act as well.
I get it.
That's positive, hugely positive.
Chad, you're a golfing nerd like I am. What kind of sport is golf, right? It's self-regulated. It's the honor system. So those people did not honor that system, okay?
And then they got called out and they gave the money back.
Yeah.
Right?
The big ones. The big ones did.
Obi-Wan brings up a good point. He says, theoretically, all businesses of any size will be part of paying back all the deficit. So therefore, they should get the money if they can.
Like 8-year-olds paying it back. We're not paying it back.
Yeah, not in our lifetime.
Theoretically, all business will be part of paying back all the deficit. So therefore, he's just saying, I think he's trying to say is they're trying to keep the economy strong, so stronger you can keep businesses, keep them in float. But we love you, Paul Carlson, founder of Plan Design Consultants. But what we're talking about here is clear. It's that unfortunately people try to game the system. And so they get that money and now they're thinking, okay, what can I do that's to my advantage with this money and still meets the rules? And I'm just going to say to our audience of advisors, don't be that guy. Don't be counseling them in that way. Teach them about why it was put in place, what it's there for. And, unfortunately, if part of that loan is not forgivable, as hard as it is to swallow, maybe the right thing to do, according to Mark and his soapbox, is to pay a portion of it back.
Sorry, that's not something I've researched and I feel like I should know. If you don't use the full amount towards applicable expenses, then is only that part of the loan forgivable, or does the whole loan become forgivable?
Go ahead, Tom. Go. Yeah.
You know what? I'm not that deep into it.
Okay. I don't know for sure, but my thought is if you don't use it for 75%, if you don't use 75% of it for those specific things, then you just got a nice loan that's at a, what was it? 1% interest rate. And I think you got to pay it back quick.
But it's the whole amount, right?
I think so. Yeah. But I don't know that. I don't know that for sure. So you can't quote me on that.
Well, it makes sense. It would be the whole thing because they're incentivizing you to use it for the right reason.
Well, Chad just proposing that maybe you used a certain percent and they'll let that slide. But no, I think it's the whole darn thing. And by the way, if you want to counsel your clients as advisors, that's a great way to get involved because you don't want them to make big mistakes right now that are going to cost them here in the next few months. And they're going to go through all this drama and find out that they got some fat loan they have to pay back in a quick period of time. So,
well, I'll say this, Mark, I'm with you on this grinding my, we as a firm made a commitment that we wouldn't lay off or furlough even one of our employees. We have 60 employees nationwide in 10 offices. And, Marcia made that promise on day one. And for those of us in senior management at the firm, we've had to make sacrifices to keep that promise, right? Whether it's, anything you could imagine as senior management does, all the way to working like all of us, 12, 15-hour days, 7 days a week. So, if the hours were, I don't know about you guys on your side. I was talking to JD earlier in the day, and I think I know what the answer is. I mean, if we were all working crazy before, we're working crazier now. And so much of it seems to be twice as much work just to stay in the same place if we're lucky, right? Because just so much is crazy. So I'm with you, man. It does piss me off, the idea that somebody is out there taking advantage when there's folks just trying to do the right thing to keep people employed and with dignity and food on their table. And you know, it is. And you know, you'd like to think there's a special place in hell for those people, but in all likelihood, I mean, there isn't. I mean, but at least we can tell ourselves there is somewhere, right?
Could be. And PCH, I saw your question, and I actually saw that thing on Twitter. The business owner that was going to up the pay for his employees and then get rid of them once the window was out. That is exactly what Tom is talking about. There's a place in hell for that guy. We won't go into details on that one because it's black and white. That's just not how you treat the PPP. But I definitely saw that tweet. Mark, we tasked you with another game. So we're going to mix it up after this heavy conversation. You're going to have a little fun. What's your game called? I forget.
It's still like beta mode, but it's is it lame or are you game? That's in Tom the idea here. It's yes no, and I'm just letting you know right now. We're gonna go quickly. I've got 3 yes no questions, and I'll repeat to the audience for those of you who are not familiar. Please chime in, give your input, and again I'll be quick. And then at the end of this, I have a quick hypothetical for you guys. So
this would you rather have your arm cut off or your foot?
Oh God.
That's kind of the ending question. Yeah.
We play that with the kids at dinner time, and it's fantastic.
All right. My first question to you guys is Instagram challenges. Is it game or is it? Are you game or is it lame?
Oh, I can't vote.
What is an Instagram challenge? It's like
Are you Tom? Are you on Instagram?
I am, but obviously I'm not following
anything. When quarantine first started, everyone's like, "Hey, push-up challenge," and they tag like 10 people, and it was like, "Post a video of yourself doing 10 push-ups."
Oh, fuck that! No, I don't do that.
Terrible.
All right.
Every time I get tagged on those things,
I can't vote. I gave my vote. Fuck that.
So far, everyone's voting lame, Mark. But I know you're lying. I know you're lying, PCH. You love that shit.
How about those friends who get mad at you for not doing it? You guys have any friends?
Yeah.
I got a few.
Hey, I will say, if it's a fundraiser or something, go for it.
Oh, shut up, dude.
Ice bucket challenge.
I agree.
But outside of that, no, I'm not posting
the nice guy route. Just stick to your guns, would you?
Randomly post the 10th picture in your inbox. Yeah, no.
Second question. When you send a text, to somebody.
Hold on, PCH says we're way behind. It's all about TikTok now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, my wife's all over TikTok now.
Jeez, come on.
Hey, Retireholics has a TikTok, and I'm not lying.
No.
Oh,
yeah.
Geez.
I don't.
Anyways, go ahead, Mark.
Go, Mark. Go.
Number 2, if you send somebody a text and then they just do the double click reaction, like ha ha ha, thumbs up or whatever, instead of responding, is that lame or are you game?
Game. Perfect.
I'm good with it.
Perfect.
Oh, I freaking hate it. No,
I'm totally guilty of it. So yes,
that's a response.
I think you're just biased for one particular reason, Mark. That's it.
Hey man, when you got 57 emails in your inbox, you got to get through those fucking text messages quickly. So
This might be why I got an iPhone, just so I could do
that. Now we know.
That's why I switched.
That's a good point, Nevin. Depends on who it is.
There was one person we all used to know that abused that a little too much. So I'll move on.
Ooh.
Responding to an email with a GIF or a GIF is lame, or you game?
Email or a text?
Email.
I've never got that in my life. I would love to get a GIF in my email.
In your email?
Yeah.
I can only do it from my phone, but many times when somebody sends me an email and I want to say something, I toy with that idea a lot.
I've gotten them.
Like a SpongeBob GIF or something? Like
sure, any GIF. Let me state for the record, I love GIFs in LinkedIn in like direct messages. I use it habitually. I love them with text messages. I use them all the time. I abuse it all the time. But in an email, I've never done that in my life. So I'm going to say lame to that one in the email.
Okay.
But I love gifts.
I'll tell a real brief, quick story of JD because I tried it a couple of nights ago and it backfired on me. But when JD gets the random requests on LinkedIn by a marketing professional that asks if you use video for your marketing, like, did you pay any attention? He sends gifts back, or he starts sending random emojis. I tried that the other night with someone requesting me on Instagram, and it turned into, clearly this is either a bot or a female trying to get my social security number, because it quickly spiraled very fast. And my wife was just sitting there laughing. It doesn't work for me the same way it does for you. JD and his son did this at an airport in Hawaii and had an advisor falling out of his chair laughing, we'll just say, because of all of the inappropriate responses that were sent back to this person.
That was a little different. That was an advisor reaching out on LinkedIn. I was at the airport, had a couple beers in me, and I handed it to my 15-year-old son and said, just chat it up with this guy. And he had some fun.
And it was nothing but emojis and hilariousness the entire time.
Mark.
All right.
Great questions. Keep going.
My last one, hypothetical, guys. Okay. In the spirit of, and I know Chad's as excited as I am, today we got notified that golf courses are now opening with social distancing rules, and we're going to start being able to go out and potentially enjoy a round of golf. Tom, I don't know if you ever get out and play, but this is around golf. Just curious.
Mark, can I just say first, coincidentally, the same day they closed down the beaches, but go on.
Yeah, I know. It's because sharks are attacking people. Different, on your golf course, you're not going to get attacked by a shark. So if you had a 10-foot downhill left to right breaking putt that you had to make right now with no practice for $10 million, or go to jail for a year, like high penitentiary, like the slammer, man, bad. 10 million or go to jail. Would you take the putt?
That's such a dark question.
You have to take that.
That was either or.
If you don't take the putt, you're going to get hit in the face by Mike Tyson in his prime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but hold on. Do you get the 10 million when you get out of jail or no?
Yeah, you don't
No. If you make it, you go. If you make it, you get $10 million. Or you know what? Any amount of money you want. I don't care if it's $100 million. Or go to jail for a year.
Okay.
But if you miss the putt, you get punched by Mike Tyson.
But no, if you decide, you know what, I'm not going to risk it. I don't want to go to jail. Yeah. I've got too much life to live. You turn around and you close your eyes, and Mike Tyson's right there, and he punches you in the face.
For no specific reason and no specific lifestyle choices, I am deadly afraid of jail. And I would take the Mike Tyson punch because I'm going to miss that damn putt. But yeah, I would take the punch.
Chad?
I'm taking the putt.
Good for you.
I can handle myself.
My sister was a nurse in a maximum security prison for almost 5 years. I would do just about anything to stay out of prison.
Yes.
Mike Tyson. You have, I've heard firsthand what actual prison is like. Nope. And nope.
Okay, Justin.
I'm taking it.
Taking the putt or taking the punch?
Putt.
Yeah.
You're going for it.
Mark?
Young and dumb. Yeah, Mark, what about you?
You know what they say.
No, we don't, Mark. What do they say?
What do they say?
What's that?
That's it.
That's it.
No, that's all. That's all.
That's beautiful, Mark.
Anyways. Holy cow, this thing's going nuts.
All right. I'm going to throw a couple of last minute questions at you that I got and at Tom, and they're quick ones that I got from people on the internet here. Who is your spirit animal, Tom Clark, or what is?
Oh my God. Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump is your spirit animal. I like that.
That is such a good answer.
Not really an animal, but a great answer. Yeah, I like that.
I have modeled my parenting on Forrest Gump's level of fear and responsibility over his son at the end of that movie. You know, And stupid is stupid does. So there we go.
I don't think you could slight or question any of Forrest Gump's decisions in life. And he's
He
a
lived
great
a heck of a
example.
life.
That's solid. That's solid.
One of my favorite scenes in that whole movie is when when he's recounting the story about Lieutenant Dan calls him a dumb son of a bitch because he gives Bubba's mom half the money, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's the way to live, you know?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Try to achieve that level of
Beautiful.
pureness. I'll
Totally
never
agreed.
do it, but I certainly will try.
What is your secret superpower? Wow, these people are really into your personality here.
My secret superpower?
Maybe you could translate to that. Like, what are you really good at that you?
Travel hacks.
Oh, yeah. I'm just assuming that you can't fly or shoot laser beams out of your eyes, but so I don't.
Not to my knowledge. I don't know. I don't know that I have one.
I like
Go
to
ahead,
think
John.
what your answer might be. Forrest Gump was not on my radar, but I think reading minds is something that you would be a good superpower for you.
About 99 times out of 100, I can tell when people are lying to me, but but a lot of people can do that.
All right. We'll see how you feel about what I say right now about you. I think your superpower, is the ability to stand up in front of a crowd and or one-on-one and speak to people about very complicated things in a manner that your passion fucking exudes from you. You bring us into your world. You're so authentic, and you see very few people in your position that do that. And I've just always been a huge fan of you for that. And I also like that you throw in the cuss word once in a while.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that.
I'm laughing at Nevin. All the things you said, and I scared the shit out of them.
So anyways, I think that's your superpower.
Well, I appreciate that.
I was lying, but it's just for the show.
There you go.
No. How about a serious question? Do you think that is that the word? No, I got it. Planned fiduciaries are going to get sued for post-COVID stuff? Like, decisions that they're making right now in this kind of wild, wild west world. Are we going to see litigation specifically to this time?
People have been sued for shitting green, under these ERISA suits. I mean, yes, people will absolutely be sued. It all depends on what process they're going through right now. I've been pretty much on, and I know people are challenging me and people are disagreeing with me, but
not on our poll yet.
Yeah, I've been on record saying that to be a Tibetan monk, I have been on record saying that I think all plan sponsors should have some type of documented extra process during these crazy times. Something, anything, right? Any kind of analysis that looks to see whether, there's anything they can do to improve their plans for the best interest of their participants. And if you can do that, then, not only have you plugged a hole, let's say there's a leaky pipe somewhere, you fixed a problem, but even if you didn't, you just created extra process, which I can point to like a dozen cases, including even Tibble versus Edison, where one of the claims was, hey, you didn't consider a stable value. You know what kind of process they had? Some dude in his deposition said, oh yeah, we talked about that 6 years ago. Didn't have meeting minutes, didn't have notes, basically had no proof at all that they had ever talked about stable value, but he said it in his depo. And of course we didn't have, well, this is at the time I was at Schlichter. We didn't have anything to challenge what he said, cited by the damn judge in the trial opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, so, and I can just go down the list, the old UTC case from 2008. I mean, I could go down the list. So having any kind of extra process during this time is like a shield and armor and a sword. So that's my take.
That's great advice and something we haven't heard. I imagine it's like a COVID-19 folder. How about that, advisors? You're going out to your clients saying, hey, we need a special documentation folder for just this period in time.
Yeah.
Our polls, 27% of everybody said maybe a few, but won't be a big deal. 37% said, oh yeah, it's on like Donkey Kong. And Zero. What? Zero. Zero heard that Schlichter had stopped practicing law and become a Tibetan monk. Okay. I thought that seemed like a possible thing, but I guess not.
It's because you're the most active 401k monk in the industry, JD.
Tom, can you do me or us a favor? I dare you to let Jerry Schlichter know that such a thing as Retireholics exists. Because if we knew,
Double dog,
Oh.
dare you.
I like my job.
Hey, listen. I mean, Mark, you're wearing your robe. He's done his show. He's done 401k Fridays. I
true,
think
true that. Mark, give your ads.
No,
wait, whoa, you've
I
added.
spent
Hold
enough
on.
time
Put
today.
that up again, bud. Put that up again.
But since Suzanne's on,
He's got sponsors.
PPG.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Talk to Marcia. I think it's $1.50 per square inch or something. That's for 10
Jake
10
Brush
years.
is on now, so I can change my
Okay.
hat. He hasn't officially sponsored me, but I wear the hat every time for.
All
He
right.
sends me a couple.
What? Justin?
Yeah, buddy.
Look at it.
Wow, I didn't get a fucking hat.
I'll have to
Bullshit.
get a badge, or I'll have to get a patch. I'll talk to my marketing guy.
Chad, that is basically, if you're hanging out watching this show and you haven't watched it before, this is where we're basically at the end of the show. And so consider all attempts at quality and actual entertainment gone. We're just gonna wing it now for a little bit.
JD, there you are as
Judges?
a monk, by the way. That's why Jerry Schlichter does not leave his practice.
If Jerry met me on that mountain, I could teach him many things. Many things.
Here's the thing: you'd like Jerry.
Oh, I've never.
He's a nice guy.
Oh, for sure. I disagree with some of his.
He's a consummate gentleman.
I disagree with some of his opinions, though. But some of the stuff he said on Rick Unser's podcast, I find my jaw hitting the floor in my car as I'm driving. Like, did he just fucking say that? And
You
so,
have a very skewed view of the world. I will agree with you on that. But
Tainted. I think tainted is a fair way to say it.
Yeah, he is a consummate gentleman. There are a lot of lawyers out there, as you well know, that are genuinely not nice people. He's genuinely a nice person.
is Nevin?
So forgive me, my comment may be an out of character though, but I feel like his view is tainted. What I've understood in reading and watching is that he believes that this industry is out to harm employees. And I don't believe it in my interactions with the average client, that they're trying to do what is in the best interest. And he's targeted some businesses and hurt some plans, helped some participants, made a lot of money in the process, but hurt some plans and some companies in those actions.
I didn't bring Tom on here to talk shit on Schlichter, so we'll move on. And that wasn't my intention.
I mean, I'm always happy to.
You're always happy to talk shit on Schlichter?
No, I'm always happy to address the topic because there's literally been nobody like me, to my knowledge, who has gone from the plaintiff side to the defense side. There have been plenty of people who have gone from the defense side who have become plaintiffs' attorneys. Not Schlichter, but some of the leading lawyers at the other competitor plaintiffs' firms used to be at places like O'Melveny and Myers on the defense side, and they switched. To my knowledge, I'm the only person in America who went from the plaintiff side to the defense side.
Interesting.
So it certainly, I have some unique perspective on the topic.
Well, my biggest problem with Schlichter is what he quoted on 401k Fridays is his whack-a-mole vibe, and I get it, where he's been litigating on fees and transparency, and now the industry is bobbing and weaving and coming up with new ways to make revenue. And I understand that, and I think that that's not good, but I'm a little concerned that he's so obsessed with vendors providing other supplemental services.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's the new way. Like, that's the future of creating great models, great experiences for clients and for participants. And so for him to put a kibosh on that is not good for anybody. And anyways.
I concur 100%.
Fair enough.
Agreed completely. If I went to buy a new car and the car dealership told me, like, we'll never service your vehicle here, you can never bring it back after this, you can only buy this vehicle and we will have no relationship beyond that, I would be very disappointed. I think that we owe it to
Accounts. Accounts.
We owe it to clients. We owe it to participants. If we have the knowledge and the ability to bring them value, to bring those other services to them and try to help them.
We live in
between selling and consulting, but
we live in a world of trying to make things easier and smoother and at our fingertips and quicker. And the way to do that is combine lots of those things. So, but let's move on. Nevin's still on here, I believe. He's down in his dark dungeon of a downstairs room or wherever he came at us last time. And hey, and
It's just me.
I know. He said, hey, I hear Tom has something awesome planned for Napa 401k Summit. Do tell.
I have a couple of things awesome planned for 401k Napa Summit.
Why don't you tell us about the most awesomest one of all of the awesome things?
I'm not really sure which one he's talking about. I not only, I have a TED Talk, right? A small TED Talk on some, I think some next level things advisors can do. But I think what maybe Nevin is talking about is I am moderating a panel. Well, I don't know if it's moderating, but the two of us, it's myself and the chairwoman of the American Century Committee that beat back the plaintiff's lawsuit from Nicholas Castor. And so she and I are doing a session at Napa in September. And if anyone was at Excel, you know that it was one of the two women that was at the Excel conference, but we're really going to kind of, if you sat through that, this will be 2.0 of that earlier presentation. And I'm excited about it.
That's probably what he's referring to. We don't get to see any of the stuff at Excel because we're stuck in that corner just drinking beer and booze all day. So that's tough.
They don't let us out of there.
Well, do you mind if Chad and I have got a little question that we would like to pick your brain on? We're thinking we're going to hit up Fred Reich on Tuesday. He's our guest on Tuesday, which coincidentally is Cinco de Mayo. He loves Dos Equis, so it's all coming together quite well. We were going to ask this of him because he lives here in California, but we wanted to, and again, this is just me, you and Chad talking here. His son has a new album coming out. Wait, scratch. Let's go back to this.
Yeah, let's go back to this.
Evan's saying your son has a new, or who's he talking about? Is he talking about you?
Not me.
Oh, he's talking about Fred Reich.
Oh,
well.
I'm laughing at the picture of Fred with the mask on his face.
Oh. Okay, that's good information, Nevin. Thanks. We'll talk to him about that. For real, that's cool. AB5, Gavin Newsom, California, comes out and they call it the gig economy. You know, all your Uber drivers and food deliverers and all that kind of jazz. And he basically puts down this rule. It was finalized in September of last year. So we're dealing with it live and in color in this world. And it's basically forcing employers that were once categorizing their employees as 1099 independent contractors, that in a variety of ways they can no longer do so. And they'll have to give them certain benefits. They'll have to deal with overtime. They'll have to deal with, all that kind of jazz. But it brings up lots of interesting questions around the 401k. And are they now eligible for the 401k? Who's touching their face?
Mark and Tom are touching their face.
Tom did it on purpose. So.
It said don't touch it.
Oh, yeah. Just don't touch your face. It's not good.
We're in a pandemic, man.
Yeah, it's not good COVID stuff. Do you know anything about this? I know you're not here in Cali, so have you looked at it at all?
So we've got two California offices, so I'm aware of it enough, right? I can't say I'm an expert on it, but I think for right now, it's the same issue that you're familiar with as a TPA, right? I'm sure over the years you have dealt with clients that have employee groups that you want to be able to exclude, right? And so I think right now the normal tools are the ones we've always had. Can you exclude groups and pass your testing and not offend the IRC? I'm unaware. There's no way that a California law can like tap into the non-discrimination rules of the IRC and say like, no, you can't exclude this group, right? I mean, that's not what's happening, right?
Well, it may be a little bit according to Chad and kind of stuff that he's learned and looked at, but I agree with you, Tom, and maybe we're going to team up on Chad right now. Just kidding. But
Bring it.
is that, yeah, it's this whole federal law, Trump state law kind of thing. And so Gavin can do whatever he wants to do. It doesn't matter when it comes to the federal and when it comes to ERISA, more importantly, those are the rules that matter. And so when ERISA says you need to meet this Darden rule, and don't get me wrong, I think companies that run a retirement plan, not the S word, always struggle with determining whether someone's a 1099 independent contractor or not. And they are supposed to be using that Darden list of questions, right? Am I getting that right? Darden? Where they go through it all. Well, my point to the AB5 is that hasn't changed. That's still what's in place. And when advisors...
But it has changed. It has changed. And it's changed because of the way in which they're treating these employees. The Darden rule federally still exists. All of those questions of, are you meeting these criteria to be considered an independent contractor still exists. But in California, they're saying, hey, this person who was once a gig employee is now W-2. And now you have to include them in your health insurance. Now you're paying them and you're covering their Social Security costs for tax purposes. Those are part of the Darden tests. So if we've now brought that employee from a 1099, and now we're forced in California to give them access to health insurance and to cover taxes that are associated with FICA, then now we're failing the Darden test. Those are two components of it. So even though federal law trumps state, the person that I employ, the things that I'm doing for them as an employee is now not allowing me federally to classify them as an independent contractor. That's my belief.
Gavin didn't tell you how you had to treat your employees. He told you if you were treating them this way, they would now be classified this way. And so he's not forcing you to do something to them. He's saying, look, if you're doing this already, then you're going to have to do this. And what I'm trying to tell you is the Darden rules are still what ERISA cares about. ERISA has blinders on to whatever California's state rules are. It doesn't give a shit. It's saying, look, these are the rules that you have to follow. And if you meet all these and you're an independent contractor, then you can exclude that person from your 401k plan.
That right there is my argument that what California is having to do with these employees, with these people, is not allowing them to abide by the 10 Darden questions.
You gave an example earlier. What was the one? You gave the one example was the health insurance or whatever.
So Tom, what I'm running into all the time right now is you have a small business, you have an owner-only company that's been operating a solo K where they're not filing a 5500 and they've got no testing to worry about. And they have two independent contractors. And now AB5 comes out. They're clear in the state of California that they can no longer treat them as independent contractors. So now they put them on a payroll. They're covering FICA taxes. They're covering Social Security taxes. And they're giving them access to health benefits as if they were a normal W-2 paid employee. And so now those folks, in my mind, are eligible for the 401k if they meet the other eligibility restrictions. Even though federal law states that you can still exclude them as an independent contractor, my thought is because we're paying for their payroll taxes, because we're forced to offer them health benefits, they are no longer qualified as an independent contractor federally because we no longer can abide by those Darden tests, by the Darden test. That's what I'm running into is these small businesses that now are failing in ADP. I mean, shit, you guys know this. They're writing their plan with a census. There's no eligibility restrictions. There's no safe harbor. These people became eligible in January. And now the business owner is reaching out saying, I can't defer. I'm going to fail in ADP. I'm top heavy. I owe them 3%. There's no
Right.
eligibility, so I don't have time to fix this. And they're in a shit show, quite honestly.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, that's a tough spot. I mean, did everyone know this was coming? And now they're only dealing with it 6 months after the fact?
September to January. I mean, it passed in September of 2019 and it took effect in January of 2020. So
I don't think
Short
this
time
was
frame.
I don't think this was heavy on Tom's radar just because, you know, him not being in the state. There were a lot of attorneys that came out in September and November and December and said that this doesn't apply to the 401k. This does not apply to the 401k. They talked about federal trumping state. And Chad, you're actually the first person to come to me, and there's got to be other people, but you're a smart guy. Maybe you're the first one to think about it, that is actually saying like, no, there are some of these rules in California that are almost forcing these employees to now fail the Darden test. And that's not what I heard from attorneys. So that's interesting. And we'll tee it up for future shows. I just want to see if
it's
Tom had any
interesting
thoughts
because
on
I'm running into it often. And
Yeah.
nine out of 10 times right now, it is small solo K plans where the gentleman or the female felt like they were the only person eligible for this plan. They're running a business where they hire some outside help to assist them. And now they're being told, no, your company, you have employees and they're struggling.
I want to be 1,000,000% clear though, for anyone that listens now and in the future, if they did not meet that requirement before all this, meaning that those employees were not properly designated to be an independent contractor, then that employer was just screwing up from the first point. Like they have to meet those requirements. So that's got to be first and foremost. But if somehow because of this new rule, you think that relationship's changing, you're telling me that Gavin Newsom and the state of California is forcing you now to treat your employee differently, that now makes them no longer ineligible for the plan. That to me, I'm no attorney, obviously, but that to me is something that you can't do. You can't create laws that then impact the federal law.
And not only that, it gave them no time to adjust. Like most of these people that are small, very small, just owner only, they're not connected to TPAs. They're not connected to Tom.
Right.
They don't know this. They don't have an advisor. They went on to TD Ameritrade and they signed a little contract to open a solo K. They have no idea that this is happening to them. And it's like 09, JD, when 403B started getting shafted when they were subject to ERISA. Most of them never kept records. They had no idea what backlash was coming at them. And here we are for these owner-only plans.
Let's dig a little deeper. We've still got 16 people here, so thank you to you guys hanging out. I think Tom wants to go play with his kid at a certain point. His kid's probably like, "Come on, Dad, let's go do this." But
I'm over here soon.
We'll go deeper on this because I know that there are more detailed analysis around you on a state level, you're actually an employee, and on a federal level, you're an independent contractor. And believe it or not, you can do both. And the ftb.gov talks about that in their FAQ. So it goes deeper than this. I'll give you one last question, Tom, that came from the internet, and we'll wrap this up. Do you think the Retireholics have a drinking problem?
No.
Thank you. We only drink on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so it's all good.
Yeah, just Tuesdays and Thursdays.
You don't have a drinking problem. You have a drinking solution.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for giving us your thoughts.
Thanks,
Thanks for being part of our circus.
Let me plug a little bit for you, Tom, because we chatted about it on the last show. Your Friday Q&As that you're doing, oh my gosh, they're so awesome. It's really educational and fun.
I'm taking a break. I'll tell you, I'm taking a break this Friday because I did 5 weeks in a row. And what I did them because I knew that there was no amount of newsletter writing that I could do to help people without just being there to get the questions as they came in. But it's become, and I asked for it, but it's become, the hour, and then I probably this last week got 25 emails, and I answered every single one of them. It took me some days, right, to get through all of them. But I think what I'm going to be doing is just switching to every other week for the foreseeable future, and it can be that I keep it. You know, there's
Hey.
sort of
Oh, that would be awesome.
Can you move it to like 9 a.m. West Coast? 8 a.m.'s a little rough, dude.
8 a.m. is rough for the Retireholics.
But I do appreciate you saying that, Chad. I mean, I do appreciate it. It was my attempt at not having a very good response, not having a really good option other than to just make myself available to folks in the best way that I could, because this sucks all around so bad.
And just a huge kudos to you, dude. It's hard to be vulnerable in an open space like that where you're just saying, bring it. Anything you want, bring it. And you just answer away.
Especially because I'm not a traditional ERISA attorney. Yeah. I have not spent my career, I did not start my career drafting plans like 90% of my colleagues, right? I started working for Schlichter, and I've gotten into the Title II plan design thing sort of in the second part of my career. And so it's especially, I mean, to be honest, since we're honest on the show, it's especially vulnerable when people throw things that maybe like my colleagues learned their second year out. I might have learned 3 months ago. Right?
Well, I just want you to know that's my favorite part of the show is when someone asks you a question, you just say, I have no fucking idea.
He's heard it before.
That's my favorite part. That's my favorite part. I love you. I love you for that. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I'll get you the answer, because the beautiful thing about my firm is I've got 30 geniuses that are my coworkers, right? So I can drop a text or an email and get an answer pretty quick. So it's that you know, that's the best part about working at this place is even if I don't have the answer, I know somebody does. But I will say the Friday calls have resulted in really getting ahead of some of the issues that I don't think anybody has answers for yet, and finding some of those squishy spots of our current place, and even some of the harder ones I've shared with Nevin, who I think is still on our call, in an attempt to try to pass that along to, you know, the brain power at NAPA and the ARA and ASPA, and you know, they've got their brain trust putting FAQs, and this last week I plugged their website and their resource center as well. And you know, now is not the time to try to hoard answers and be the only person out there. And to the extent that we can all kind of join forces, in you know, that's my goal. So
love it.
We're trying.
Love
so
that.
they've been useful to me too. They've been useful to me too immensely.
Very cool. Well, don't feel guilty. You can do it every other week, but we'll still be doing this thing twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4:30, because we can do it.
My liver is going to run up our health bills.
See you later, guys. Have a great night. Hey, everyone that's still on, thanks for attending. Nevin, Jeff, Josh, Lauren, Michael, Paul, PCH, you're still here, buddy. Suzanne and Tim. See ya. Have a good night,
everybody. Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you, buddy.
See you soon in person somewhere.
Hopefully.
Yeah.